Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's State of the FPA virtual update. I'm Paul Brand, the 2026 FPA past president. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've got a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. First, all lines have been muted. If you have a comment or a question, put it into the chat. I'm going to be paying attention to those, and we will get to them at the appropriate time. If you don't see that chat area, click the icon under reactions options on your screen, and all of your questions will be certainly addressed later in your presentation. We're recording the update today, and we're going to make it available to everybody in the coming days. Today's update provides us with an overview of all of the association's efforts to support our members and the profession over the past year. It's also an opportunity to provide an update on the organization's financial health now that our 2025 audited financial statements have been finalized. We have to wait, right, until the preceding year's audited financial statements are available. So we're also pleased to present our annual report. And you can find all of this at the FPA website. You can go to www.financialplanningassociation.org/about, and you can find these documents for your own review. Joining me today to lead us through the updates are Mr. Dan Galley, the 2026 FPA president. He's going to provide us with a strategic update. He's going to let you know what our thinking is going forward. Christopher Alford Cooper, the 2026 president-elect, is going to provide us with an overview of our financial processes. It's important that you know that we're doing everything we can to be good stewards of the resources of the association. Dennis Moore, the FPA Chief Executive Officer, is going to give us an operational update on the association. And Adam Kaczynski, the partner at Wegner CPAs, that's our auditor, is going to provide us with an overview of the FPA's 2025 audited financial statements. And so now I'd like you to join me as I turn things over to our FPA CEO, Dennis Moore, for an operational update.
Thank you, Paul. Hi, everybody. So at FPA, we are committed to being your partner in planning, and we deliver on that promise through our four key pillars: practice support, learning, advocacy, and networking, what we call our plan framework, PLAN. For example, we provide practice support tools and resources to help financial planners grow and manage their practices more effectively. In learning, we offer world-class educational opportunities from conferences to webinars to Journal of Financial Planning. Advocacy is all about standing up for our profession and ensuring that financial planners are recognized and respected. And finally, networking connects you with peers, mentors, and experts who can help you thrive. Everything we do ties back to these pillars, ensuring our members have the resources to succeed at every stage of their careers. While we've accomplished a lot and offer our members ample opportunities for professional development, business growth, and connection, more can be done. Continually innovating what we do and what we offer you will be our focus in the years to come, so we can further meet the needs of modern financial planners and solidify FPA as your partner in planning. As a CFP professional and former chapter leader myself, I know just how important this is, and we are committed to providing you the tools you need today for today's financial planning profession with an eye to the future. FPA membership is a commitment to your clients, your career, and to a profession that still doesn't get the credit it deserves. When you join FPA, you're joining a community of people who believe this work matters, who show up for their clients every day and want to be part of something bigger. We take that seriously. This past year, we added benefits, deepened our support, and worked hard to make sure what we offer meets you where you are, whether you just passed the CFP exam or you've been practicing for decades. We're proud of that, and we'll be the first to admit there's more to do. FPA is at its best when it reflects the real, full range of people who call themselves financial planners, and that's what we're working towards every year. Just a quick update on one of our membership initiatives, the first year CFP, the complimentary program. So our first year CFP retention was 24% in 2025, with 600 individuals joining FPA through the program. Normally, complementary programs have a lower retention potential, and the 24% that we're experiencing in the current environment demonstrates effectiveness when compared to the overall engagement standards in associations. FPA and CFP board continue to have a strong relationship regarding supporting new CFP professionals. So immediately after passing the CFP exam, individuals are sent a variety of messages from the CFP board, including an invitation to join FPA for 1 year as a complimentary member. Those interested in joining follow a process to activate their account. And like I said, so with complementary programs, retention can be difficult due to lack of financial transactions and turbulence within this market of individuals undergoing professional transition. And so the 24% retention rate that we're experiencing is a higher than the norm and the average, and is a positive indicator that the new CFP professionals find value in FPA membership. The financial planning profession continues to evolve. We started with a model that was exclusive, accessible only to a small group of people. And over time, firms broadened access. Then came online platforms, robo-advisors, and digital tools that changed how people engage with money. Each of those moments created anxiety. They raised big questions and they forced us to rethink our value. And that's where we are again today. Technology, especially AI, is accelerating change faster than anything we've seen before. And it's not just changing how we invest, it's changing how people expect service, how they get information, how they make decisions, and how they define trust. And that's why this conversation is so important, and why at FPA, we believe our job is not to tell you what to think about AI or what tools to adopt. Our job is to help you understand what's changing, what's possible, and how to navigate it responsibly, ethically, and strategically. And that's why we were excited to introduce the FPAI Authority in January. This program is designed to help members move from curiosity to capability through education, real world use cases, and thoughtful guidance on how AI and emerging technologies can fit into your practice, operations, and client experience. Developed in partnership with Matt Reiner, managing partner of Capital Investment Advisors and the voice behind the Future Proof Advisor, this dedicated hub of content and information is helping our members be more aware of how AI is shaping our profession and the opportunities you have to embrace it prudently while enabling you to remain an extraordinary human first financial planner. Last year, we also planted a bold flag for the future by launching the FPA competency model. The FPA competency model is a powerful framework that supports every planner, no matter their career stage. It's intentionally focused on the behaviors and interpersonal skills that define excellence in financial planning, the traits that drive connection, leadership, and real-world impact. This model doesn't just acknowledge technical proficiency, it emphasizes the human side of planning, how we show up, how we lead, how we think, and how we care for our clients and communities. The framework is rooted in 6 core behavioral domains: interpersonal impact, professionalism, leadership, critical thinking, client communication and care, and advancing the financial planning profession. These aren't just abstract ideas. They're observable, coachable behaviors that shape how planners build trust, think critically, lead teams, communicate effectively, and advocate for the profession's future. All members have access to a self-guided assessment to better understand their current strengths and areas for growth. The team has been working to align all FPA content, from the Journal of Financial Planning to on-demand learning, live webinars, conferences, and more, with the competency model, so you can see exactly how the content provided through your membership aligns with the skills you need most. Last year, we made an important update to FPA Media Source, our automated media platform that connects participating members with journalists nationwide. Over the past 8 years, the system has sent more than 10,000 journalist queries to participating FPA members. In the third quarter of 2025, we revealed a fresh new look and feel that is modern, intuitive, and designed to enhance the overall user experience for both our members and the journalists. Beyond design, we've added functionality that reflects our community's needs. Practicing members can now access and review their past submissions, which is a helpful improvement for compliance tracking, personal reference ahead of upcoming interviews. These updates are just the beginning as we continue to strengthen FPA Media Source as a key member benefit and the premier media visibility engine in financial planning. And now on to the big announcement that we made just this past February, the future of FPA Planner Search. And what you're seeing on the screen now is a little sneak peek. It's obviously still in development, but we wanted to share a few visuals with you. So while Planner Search has served a purpose, it's not delivered the level of value our members expect or deserve from a platform like this. It hasn't fully told the story of what real financial planning is. It hasn't fully reflected the depth and impact of your work, and it hasn't been the growth engine it could be for our members. If we want to deliver meaningful value for our members, we must be willing to rethink some of our most visible tools, and that's exactly what we're doing. But we're not just redesigning a directory. We're reimagining how consumers discover financial planning, understand its value, and connect with professionals they can trust. To do that, we knew we needed a partner who understands how people engage, how stories are told, how technology can create real connections, not just traffic. And that's why we've been working with the incredible team at Snappy Kraken and our software developer, the Smythe Group. We're targeting a late summer or early fall relaunch to FPA Planner Search, and we very much look forward to sharing more soon. And with that, I will turn things over now to FPA President-elect Crystal Alford Cooper. Crystal?
Thank you, Dennis. So before I introduce our external auditor, I want to provide a few details on FPA's fiscal governance and the work of the FPA Finance Committee. The Finance Committee, it includes 6 members of FPA's Board of Directors. It's led by 2026 FPA Treasurer Juan Hernandez Ariano. We provide critical financial oversight and required checks and balances by meeting monthly to review and oversee the association's monthly financials, forecasts, and business operations. The committee provides oversight of 2 critical financial policies: the Delegations of Authority policy and the Financial and Investment Policy Statement. That includes oversight of invested reserves and financial metrics. The committee directly engages Wegner CPAs, who provide attestation and tax return preparation services for the association. Lastly, the committee governs the annual budget production, including the association's capital investments. And now, to walk you through the 2025 audited financial statements, I will turn things over to Adam Kaczynski, partner and Wegner CPAs, Financial Planning Association's external auditor. Adam?
Thank you, Crystal, and thanks for having me today. And before I get started, I always enjoy being at this meeting just to see the trends and the similarities between the CPA world and the financial planning world. And we have a lot of similar traits between us, and especially from trends. But yeah, to present the 2025 audit results, all good things for me today, similar to last year. And that's, kudos to Dennis and his team for the leadership that they provide throughout the year and reaching out with questions throughout the year. And yeah, with that, just to run through a few key bullet points on this slide, we did not encounter any difficulties during the audit. And once again, we are issuing an unmodified opinion on your financial statements, or a clean audit opinion, indicating that your financials are fairly presented in accordance with US GAAP or generally accepted accounting principles. But lastly, and my annual plug, the most important piece to me that's even more important than that clean audit opinion is no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies to report over your cash receipts and disbursements, and kind of simplify that cash receipts and disbursements piece down. But looking through your revenue transaction cycles, expenses, cash, investments, net asset activity, payroll, all that as part of our audit, we walk through those internal control processes and test controls and did not identify any weaknesses or significant deficiencies to report. So overall, a clean bill of health from us. And with that, I'm going to move into some financial results as well. On the screen here, we have our statement of financial position or balance sheet as of December 31st, 2025. The full audit report that I know is posted on FPA's website. It does have comparative 25 and 24 numbers, but just generally speaking, any fluctuations you see on that are purely driven by timing of invoices being paid or being received and payments coming in to the association. But overall, in a healthy net asset position at year end, $6.2 million of assets compared to $3.4 million of liabilities. That puts you in a net asset position of about $2.8 million or so, which does equate to approximately 4.5 months or so of expenses in your net assets. We like to see at least 3 months, so being at 4.5 is right where we want to see you. Then on the next slide, just have some historical trends, and most of this chart predates us as auditors, but this just shows your total net assets going back to 2018. And I mentioned this to the Finance Committee in a presentation about a month ago or so, but the trends that we see here for FPA, they're not unique to FPA. They're not unique to the 501c6 association world. It's not unique to the C3 membership world, or even foundation grant funded organizations and charities. A lot of the organizations I work with have this similar trend, with the decrease, especially with the pandemic accelerating that decrease. CARES Act bump, new reality coming back in 2022, and then in 2022 and onward seeing a positive trend. The market does play a factor in this, but just overall, this graph that you see here, not unique to FPA, and we're seeing that with a lot of the organizations we work with, regardless of what industry within the nonprofit sector they're in. Then last, I have on the screen here our statement of activities or income statement for the year ended December 31st, 25. And similar to the comment I made earlier, excuse me, trends year over year, we're not seeing a whole lot. What we see with FPA is pretty similar to what we're seeing with all other associations and membership orgs, with dues being relatively flat, and then with that, how that impacts your secondary revenue streams. If we had 24 up here as well, you would see some nice cost reduction overall, which is helping to drive that change in net assets year over year. So you have a change in net assets or net income for the year of $513,000. Investment return, which includes unrealized gains and losses, realized gains and losses, and interest, that is influencing that overall change in net assets. But even backing that out, I'll call it a relatively break-even year, which is great to see, especially coming out of the last 2 years or so. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to FPA President Dan Galley for an FPA strategic plan update. Dan, over to you.
Thanks, Adam. I appreciate that. Before I jump into the strategic plan, I just want to take a moment to just say what an honor it's been to be president this year. We're halfway through this first year, and people often ask, what are your goals, Mike? There's a number of goals, and we're going to look at the strategic plan that we've developed here in a moment. But personally, what I want to use this platform this year, and I will ask all of you and every FPA member to join me in this, is to take every opportunity to try and explain to the public what financial planning is, what that unique and powerful skill set is that we bring to our clients. And I think one way to do that is to recognize among ourselves that although the confusion over who's a wealth advisor or who's a wealth manager or whatever, if we can just call ourselves financial planners and be proud of that, I think that's a great start forward. It causes people to ask, well, what's financial planning? What makes it different? In any event, 3 years ago, we made a promise. We said that FPA was going to get serious about something that you need, not just something you belong to. And that's easy to do, but a little easy to say rather, but a little harder to do. So I'd like to talk about the actions that we've taken and accomplished. We built the first 3-year sprint of a 10-year strategic plan around 4 things: helping you run a better practice, giving you better ways to learn, fighting for this profession at the policy level, and connecting you to people who get what you do. It was a simple framework, but there was a lot of work behind it. Some of it went exactly as planned. Some of it took a little longer than we wanted. And some of it taught us things that we didn't expect to learn. But that's how this kind of thing goes. So here's what I can tell you. FPA looks different today than it did 3 years ago. And as you'll hear in a moment, the advocacy operation is having an impact. The FPA national events have been reimagined from the ground up. The educational content, like the FPA competency model, is more relevant to your work as financial planners. The new and improved resources for running your practice, like the FPA I Authority and the revamped FPA media source, are useful. We're not just saying that. You can see it and engage in it. We said that this first 3-year sprint was about achieving a milestone we called getting to base camp. I've always liked that framing because It's not the top of the mountain, but it's the place where you can stop and catch your breath and figure out what the next part of the climb looks like. That's where we'll be at the end of this year in 2026 and at the end of the first sprint. And in January, we start climbing again with a new set of objectives for the next 3 years, from January 2027 to December of 29. And the work to date mattered because the people who showed up for it, including FPA staff, volunteers, chapter leaders, and members, all of them made it possible. So let's talk about what comes next. Now, to be honest, we're still figuring this out a little bit. The next 3-year sprint, Space Camp, remember, the next 3-year sprint is in development right now. And we're not going to rush it just so that we have something to announce and post. Here's how it's going to work. Over the next several months, FPA staff and the board will engage the advisory council to directly collect input, to have real conversations, and to use what we hear to inform important decisions about where we're going next. The advisory council exists exactly for this type of moment. The goal is to have the plan finalized by year end and formally unveiled at FPA Lead in February. Now, as a member, you'll hear from us before then, too. Here's what I can tell you about how we're approaching it. We're staying with the same 4 pillars: practice, support, learning, advocacy, and networking. Under each one, we're planning for a couple of foundational objectives to address and further advance the work that simply must get done as your membership association. And one bigger swing in each area, what we're calling a needle mover, so to speak. These are loftier, bigger ideas. And if we execute them well, they'll move the organization forward in a significant way. Now, I'm not going to put details on the table right now. They're simply not ready. We're developing them. But what I will say is this. 3 years ago, we were building a foundation. Now we have one. The next sprint gets to be more ambitious because of the work that the community has put in. And we want your continued input on what that should look like. And we look forward to sharing this bolder vision with you in the months ahead. There's an old saying in politics that I have particularly always loved. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. FPA is at the table, and we're there specifically so that your voice, your business, and your client interests are part of the conversation when policymakers make decisions that affect this profession. Now, here's what that looks like in practice. Last year, our team tracked hundreds of bills and proposed regulations across all U.S. states, D.C. and Puerto Rico, and at the federal level. We started with countless bills, identified the ones that mattered to financial planners, and moved quickly. It was no small lift. Let me give you a couple of examples of our input. On taxes, FPA pushed for legislation to provide consumers with a tax incentive for financial planning expenses. We believe that if you make it easier for families to access financial planning, more families will access financial planning. So we worked with a coalition on this initiative at the federal level. We also pushed back hard on professional service taxes, which would essentially tax financial planning services at the state level, the exact opposite of what we want. These taxes are complicated to implement. They drive up costs for clients. And honestly, they push people more toward the water cooler free advice online rather than from qualified financial planners. Nobody wins there. Last year, we beat back proposals in Massachusetts, in Maryland and Minnesota. In Minnesota specifically, FPA members testified at committee meetings, met with one-on-one with legislatures, and with our grassroots outreach generated more than 700 emails to state legislators. Now that's members showing up and advocacy working. We also had a significant federal win last summer with the Freedom to Invest in Tomorrow's Workforce Act. This law now allows 529 funds to be used for professional certifications, including the CFP. That's a real tangible benefit for planners pursuing advanced credentials. And on financial literacy, we followed numerous bills last year focused on requiring financial literacy education in schools. Texas, Colorado, and Kentucky all passed laws requiring dedicated financial literacy courses for high school students. FPA supported every one of those efforts. There's the bottom line. Advocacy isn't something FPA does, in the background while you're busy running your practice. It is frontline work. It directly affects your ability to do your job, grow your business, and serve your clients. Before we open it up, I wanted to take a minute to talk about the FPA Advisory Council, because I don't think it always gets the credit it deserves. The Advisory Council exists for one reason, and that's to make sure that FPA chapter and community leaders have a real voice in where FPA is headed. Not a token seat at the table, but an actual voice. And the proof is in what's come out of it over the past few years. The your partner in planning value proposition, that was council driven. Our overhaul of membership data and reporting tools for chapters, council feedback pushed that forward. The partnerships with Kitsis.com and nearly a dozen other speakers have made high-quality speakers more affordable for our chapters. Council conversations started that. The Journal of Financial Planning Research Quarterly, our approach to advocacy, practice support offerings, and the FPA's national conference strategy have all been meaningfully shaped by the Advisory Council. That's the Advisory Council working the way it's supposed to work. Now, communication between FPA leadership and the Council can be better. And we understand that, but we're owning that, and we're committed to being more proactive. But I'll be honest, this only works if it goes both ways. We need every council representative engaged, and we need our chapters to bring their council rep into the conversation there. Not just at council meetings, but your own board table. We need to build this two-way communication, and we're working hard to do that. So if your chapter has an advisory council rep, use them. And if you don't have one, please consider appointing one. This is your channel to help shape FPA's future. Don't leave it empty. And now we want to hear from you for the remaining time and answer your questions to facilitate the conversation. I'm going to turn this back over to Paul.
Thanks so much, Dan, and great job presenting an amazing strategic plan. And thank you to all the board members for participating in developing that strategic plan for over 3 years now. It's been quite a journey. As I said earlier, the microphones are muted, but you can post your questions in the chat. So please submit any questions that you have in the chat box. If the chat box is closed, click the chat icon on your screen and then go to the reactions option, right? And we'll address those questions as they come in. One question that was asked, and this is going to be for Ben. Is Ben still with us? I hope he is. Somebody asked if we can make the slides available. And
Absolutely. We are recording this, and we are actually going to have the recording posted along with the audited financial statements on the FPA website. And we will also be sharing a link off the homepage of the website and in other places. So that will all be distributed over the next 24 hours.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Ben. Dennis, I have a question for you. The question is, with respect to the competency model or planner search, do you have to be a member to use those functions, those tools to advance your practice?
Yeah, great question there. So some of them, yes. So FPA Planner Search, so that is for our CFP professional members, as is FPA Media Source. However, tools like the FPA competency model, and even FPAI Authority, we currently have those out and available to review and to look out without being behind the membership wall at this point in time.
That's the um, so I have two questions around membership, and I think they're important questions. So the first one goes like this. I think you're all doing great work, but the one thing still worrying me is the drop in membership from 24 to 25. Now that 26 is half done, has it stabilized or turned around? What more can we do? And then the related question is membership count year over year. Maybe I missed this. Was it on the slides? So, Dennis, again, something that you might address for
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we have seen some membership decline over the last few years. I will say also kind of what as Adam mentioned earlier as well, and as we look at trends across the association landscape, FPA is not unique in that. That being said, we're not satisfied with that either, right? We are looking to drive membership growth, to drive impact, positive impact on the profession. And to do that, again, it's the strategic plan that the board is working on and working to implement to be able to bring those valuable tools, resources, products, and services that you need to do what you do as a financial planner and someone involved in financial planning. And so we feel this will help to show that value and improve that value to help increase membership. That being said, our membership has stabilized. I will say, coming out of COVID, all of that, it did drop a bit, but over the last couple of years, paid membership has stabilized. And and this wasn't a stat that was included in the PowerPoint, but just wanted to share here. As we look forward and look to the future of the profession, you have to build that pipeline. The next generation of financial planners, the next generation of FPA members, and I'm very excited to say that our student and our aspiring membership categories have increased 25% over the last couple of years. And so we are starting to see that tick up, right? Obviously, right now, overall, that's still a small piece of the pie, but that's the pipeline, that's the future, and we are seeing positive growth there. And just to reiterate the importance of the strategic plan and the execution on bringing value to FPA membership.
Fantastic. This is Paul's question, not in the chat, but it's related. When you look at those two categories and the growth, can you give us some sense as to what might be a driver to that growth and what are we doing as an association to, right, support that, capitalize on it?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I'll say the strategic plan is crucially important in the things that we're rolling out, like FPA Planner Search and FPA Media Source, to where you only get access to those type of tools by being an FPA member, right? So it's things like that, and that the next iteration of the strategic plan, as Dan referenced, those needle movers making an impact, and what that will do. All that being said, too, again, as we look at, so again, we have to provide value today with an eye to tomorrow. And, that eye to tomorrow is the pipeline that's growing. And so we've focused on student communities. Our next gen community is thriving and vibrant. We've got FPA Gather coming up in Dallas this August. Again, another fantastic event for that next gen community. And you can just see the excitement about the profession and about FPA there. And that's the future of not only FPA, but the future of the profession. And so as we're working on that and building that pipeline and bringing value added services, programs, and products to the table, that will start to turn the membership back around.
Thanks for that. And I remember you mentioning that our partnership with the CFP board with newly minted CFPs has been pretty successful, much more successful than we ever thought when we instituted that program. And that's pretty exciting stuff.
Absolutely. And I'll also say too, obviously, right? Like, so membership, it's FPA members and it's also members of the chapters. And so that's a great example of, how everybody working together to make this happen, to make it work. That first year complimentary membership for CFP professionals has been a big success with a retention rate higher than the averages and everything. And that also has to do with the experience at the chapter level. So, that can't go unnoticed as well. So our chapters are doing a fantastic job. and welcoming those new members and getting them plugged into the profession. And so, again, I just want to give a big thank you and shout out to our great members and chapters across the country.
Thanks, Dennis. I appreciate that. Um, Couple of related questions. Well, this one's not related, but I think it's important, and I think Dan and Crystal might be able to opine on this one a bit. It's in relation to the advisory council. What are a couple of valuable contributions that AC has made this year? And I'm going to add, and what's your expectations for their contributions going forward?
Crystal, do you want to grab that or do you want me to jump in? There you go.
I had to unmute myself, so trying to get my act together, but thank you for that. So yes, so a couple of things that the AC has been really helpful for us would be one is helping us with advocacy, right? And how what the ask is. What are we asking for help with? So, Advisory Council, one of the things that we are looking to do this year is to get a meeting of several folks in the room all at one time. So, Advisory Council, Advisory Forum, PACT folks, all of that, and have, some conversations about how we can push things forward. Membership categories, that's going to also be something that we're working on this year with Advisory Council. We're asking them to help us with membership categories, right? So it's pro bono, or if it's student memberships, or we've even had some conversations talking about perhaps some type of bundling with memberships, right? If you are an FPA member and your membership could possibly include attending a conference that year or something like that. So a lot of comments and ideas that are rolling around with that and helping us. And community outreach has also been very helpful for us for Advisory Council folks with different support mechanisms that are happening with all of the chapters around the country, right? Again, with helping with financial literacy and the different states that have been doing financial literacy mandates and all of that good stuff. So how we're able to help chapters, not just the stronger chapters or the larger chapters, but even some of the folks that have the smaller chapters that may not have all the tools, they can get support from other chapters that may have it. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. And then we've also, one of the big things this year is actually having advisory council in the room for board meetings. So we've had the chair, Lance Eaton, join us at our last board meeting, which was very fruitful. And we were able to review some of the things, some of the comments from the post report out of the town hall that happened earlier this year at Lead. And we think that that was very helpful to for Lance not only to just share with us some of the ideas from the AC, but also to see all the other things that happen around the board meeting and all the other things that the board has to, be working on and strategizing about throughout the year, and where AC can help fit in with that from a bigger level, right? Not necessarily operational. So a lot is going on. We're still trying to make it seamless, right? So we still want that commitment from both sides. And we were able to actually pull out a calendar for this year for what's going to be happening for the AC and how it's going to match up with other things that are happening from FPA larger level with conferences as well as board meetings. So a lot of work is being done. A lot of work was done last year, and we're just trying to keep this train moving. And I second, the request and the plea. If you have a chapter that has a representative for the AC, please have them be engaged. If you don't have someone, try your best to appoint someone, or maybe have a conversation with one of us, and perhaps we can try to help along with that. So a lot of people know people. So, that we can shame some folks into jumping on board.
Thanks, Crystal. Appreciate it. There are a few questions around why is membership declining, and I have a few thoughts around that, and I'd be interested once I share mine with other people on the call what their thoughts are. And I see a few things, right? When we look at the average age of financial planners, right, in our ecosystem, there are people like me, right? Gray, white hair, maybe no hair, I don't know. And they're retiring out of the business. Smaller firms are rolling up to bigger firms, and bigger firms provide an ecosystem that does a lot of the things that we filled for those smaller firms. So we have those two things occurring on a regular basis. And then, of course, everybody has to think about how much money they have to spend on these things. So, we've got our CFP dues, right? We've got other things that we spend money on, and maybe this one falls a little bit under. So it's incumbent upon us as an association through things like the strategic plan and really cool stuff like Planner Search and Media Source, right? To say, here's a reason that pays for itself if you become a member. And of course, we rely on folks who, like you, who are on this call to spread the good word about the amazing things that we have. So those are my thoughts, right? Retirements, roll-ups, just all the different costs for being in the profession are some of the reasons why we see a decline in membership. And that's not unique to our association, right? We see it across associations. Any other thoughts before we move to wrap up? No other thoughts. So with that, I want to say thanks. And I think, do I toss this to Dan? Is Dan the guy that's going to wrap this up?
Right over to me, Paul. Thank you. So just a couple of things as we do that. First of all, thank you so much for coming today. It's this involvement that is critical, and appreciate the questions and the attention. So as we wrap things up, I just want to remind you all also that the 2025 audited financial statements and the 2025 audited annual report, along with those audited financial statements and annual reports from all the past years, are all available to you. They're all up on at www.financialplanningassociation.org/about, and you can access them there. I've also got to put a plug in for FPA Summit 2026, going to take place at an incredible property, the Gaylord National Harbor Resort in outside of DC in Maryland. And that's going to be from November 9th to November 11th. Now, this was formerly known, of course, as the FPA Annual Conference, but FPA Summit is really going to be the center of our learning, innovation, collaboration, and financial planning. It's where the financial planning community, us, including practitioners, firm owners, academics, students, thought leaders, partners, everybody. This is where we come together. We get to network, we'll broaden our skills, explore business and career paths, and examine trends that are shaping our future. I cannot encourage people more than to think about joining us at FPA Summit. The energy, the excitement, the interaction is just palpable and so rewarding. I walk away from these meetings always better than when I got there. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today, though, for the State of the FPA, this virtual update, and encourage all of you to let us know how FPA can continue to be your partner in planning. We have a profession here, and we're all going to do everything we can to promote it. Thank you all so much.